want to eat me a little something. This is what I use as it's another meat substitute I use right here. I like it. I like the taste better, but it's not as energy friendly to me. So I can't eat it all the time. I have to eat it like once every so in a blue moon. But I haven't had it in a while, so I'm having it today. And what I do is I doctor it up with what I like here. A little smoke in it. A lot of smoke in it. A little bit of vinegar, just to substitute the salt. You know, I don't eat salt. Vinegar is a great substitute for salt. And then I put a little black pepper in here. A lot of black pepper. I like the taste of black pepper. Then I squeeze some honey in it. There's a lot of meat substitutes out there for people who don't eat meat. Soy chorizo and this stuff right here are the two that I've found suits me the best. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but these are the two that I use whenever I do want to have a meat flavored or some type of meat fix. We're gonna eat it with crackers. Not bad. I eat this the day after I come off my tea fast, because I'd be so hungry, I'd be craving meat and all kinds of greasy food, which I don't eat anymore, but I still crave it. So I just try to get substitutes and be satisfied with that. And I eat it with these are Townhouse crackers. It's pretty good. The people from Apple, they told me that I won't be able to download my stuff off the cloud for another 5 days, which will be this coming Saturday. So I don't have access to my Cash App right now, and I don't have access to any of my other apps that were in my old storage. So after Saturday, hopefully there won't be any obstacles with that, and I'll have access to that stuff. I hope So as of now, though, I can't get to anything that's on my old apps. And YouTube won't let me download a video more than 15 minutes. So I don't know, is it because I don't have enough videos, or what's the protocol for me to get more time? I don't know what it is, but it won't let me download anything over 15 minutes. I've had to cut quite a few minutes off some of these videos just because it wouldn't allow me to download. So I can only give you guys about 15 minutes at the most of these videos, so they'll all be short for now. Maybe as I continue to add more videos, maybe YouTube will add more time to me, give me more time, I hope. So, The Face of Me, The Life and Times of Leonard Dean Jr. by Kylo Mims. I was born Leonard Dean Jr. on August 24th, 1965 at 4:44 a.m. at Pensacola Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida. I was the first child of Rosa Ann Montgomery and the second born to Leonard Dean Sr. I came in this world weighing 6 pounds and 7 ounces. Meet Mama and Daddy. It was smack dab in the middle of the Vietnam War when Daddy enlisted in the Army shortly after graduating high school in 1964. Mama was taking classes at Pensacola Junior College, longing to leave Pensacola to attend Florida A&M with her big sister Jenny. My mama was the third child of 8 children to Hannah Lee Clausell and Clinton Montgomery. She was somewhat the black sheep of the family, and they say she gave Grandma and Granddaddy purity hell. She was the most emotional and temperamental of the 8 children, but underneath that imposing exterior lies a sweet and generous-hearted young lady. It's safe to say that my grandmother felt a sense of guilt and pity for my mother's temperamental behavior. Grandma once told me a story about Mama when she was only a toddler at the time. Grandma said that Mama was being pulled in a toy wagon by her oldest brother, and Mama fell out of the wagon and onto the concrete pavement and landed on top of her head. I was just a boy when she told me that story, but I could sense that the accident in that toy wagon with her then toddler child really grieved Grandma, and she attributed that head accident to what seemed to be Mama's troubled personality. I also remember hearing family stories about my grandma too. People that knew her in the old days said that of her 12 siblings, she was the child that gave her mom and dad, my great-grandparents, holy hell. The old-timers believed that my mama was payback for the trouble she caused her parents. That's from my book, and a little bit of information on that. My grandmother used to sit, she used to sit at her table, at her dresser, and pay the bills late at night around 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And I would be in the living room watching television, and she would call me in to come in and do the math for some of the bills that were a little tough for her. She wasn't, she wasn't educated. I think she went as far as 6th grade. So she didn't have a really good math, but it was her duty in the household to pay the bills. So she would ask me to come in there and do the math, and I think back on those days, and I hope I did it good, because I was only about 11 years old, and I'm thinking, I hope I didn't mess up any of my grandmama's bills. But I would go in there and do the math, and I would sit down with her, and I'll ask questions. I was always curious about my mother when she was a child, because they said she was, I heard stories from all her siblings. And so Grandma would tell me little stories. I would have to pull it out of her, because my grandmother wasn't one to just volunteer information. I would have to just pull this information out of her. And she would just tell me these little stories about my mama when she was a child. So I remember that story. That's one of the little times when she told me that particular story about Mom in the wagon. And I'll never forget that, because it was very touching for me to hear that story about her. A short story, The Fight. One of the many little diamonds that played on the playground in the Truman Projects was a girl named DeWendell Williams. Everyone called her Binky. This loopy, loudmouth little girl had a remarkable, intimidating element that hedged around her that no one could penetrate. I had a quick tongue as a boy, and DeWendell Williams always saw my quick wits as a challenge to her character whenever I was around her. One day, on the playground, DeWendell got in my face, spewing her fear-mongering rhetoric every which way. At some point, I said, "You better get out of my face, you old black dog. You see a dog, you slap him," she said bullishly. I paused for a split second with doubt in my heart. Should I asked myself. There was no answer. So I did what any project kid would do when challenged with an imitation like that one. I hauled off and slapped the living shit out of Binky. She went into a fit of fury and then into a screaming squall of holy hell and started swinging her arms like clacker balls. I'd never seen anything like it. I bore back and tightened my lips and balled my fist up and started swinging too. Neither of us landed a punch. Binky's oldest sister ran up from behind her and began pulling her back towards their apartment. And Binky's countenance didn't change not one bit while she was being dragged away. She was still screaming and kicking and having a fit. It was a good thing she and I went fist to cuffs in the 4th grade, because I had to spend the next 8 years with her before we graduated high school in 1983. Therefore, the irony of it all is, I never had another single problem with DeWendell Williams ever again after I whooped that ass. Yeah, that's true. I mean, this girl, gosh, and she grew up to be pretty much just like she was when she was a child. And she intimidated everybody, the boys, the girls, the adults. She's one of those kind of kids and grew up to be the same way. And as a child, I didn't know anything about intimidation. I just knew I was always uncomfortable around her, but yet still we played. That's what children do. And if they feel uncomfortable at that age, I didn't know why. I just did. It was because she was a bully, and she just had this remarkable, she intimidated everybody. So, when we got in that little fight, right there and there, after that day, and like I said, I had spent 8 years with her, and we never bumped heads again. And we were in the same classes, and she was in the color guard when I was in the band. So therefore we had to see each other on the buses, and I never had a problem with it. But all the people that knew her, she had that reputation. Yep.